The story begins as we see a girl who's sad because her teddy bear was torn, and her mother thinks it's a shame since they just bought it, but she tells the girl they can just replace it. The bear is thrown away, and taken to an underground facility. But we meet a boy named Rudo, who sneaks into the building. As he goes through the trash, a guard pulls up on him, and recognizes him as the trash raider who's been stealing garbage from the city. He activates the alarm, which alerts the other guards, but Rudo quickly throws trash at them, and gets into the air ducts. He tries to escape, but the guards close the gates, and they start shooting him, so he dodges their bullets as he runs away, but one of them hits his shoulder, and he still manages to get away. The news about the garbage theft spreads everywhere, and the people in the city blame the slum residents, wondering why they don't stick to their side of the wall. Everyone in the slums knows that it's Rudo, because it isn't the first time he's done it, and they're afraid that his actions will bring them trouble. Rudo's friend Kiwa warns him that he might get into serious trouble if he doesn't stop, and she wonders why he keeps stealing trash. So he explains that the city folk keep throwing away perfectly usable items, telling her he can't help but feel sorry for them, and he adds that it also helps with his expenses. They're suddenly interrupted by three boys, and their leader tells Kiwa to stop hanging out with Rudo, or else she'll also smell like garbage. He makes fun of Rudo's gloves, because he hasn't washed them in years, and one of the boys kicks his lantern, saying no one will buy his garbage. As they continue to mock Rudo, Kiwa reminds them that they all live in the slums, so they shouldn't bully him. One of the boys mentions that Rudo is the son of a serial killer, and unlike Rudo's father, they've been trying to create a better image for themselves. We learn that everyone in the slums is also a descendant of a criminal, and Rudo tries to stay patient, but when they continue talking about his father, he becomes angry. They're afraid of his expression, and as they walk away, they mention that he's just like his father, so he might also become a murderer in the future. But Kiwa believes he isn't a bad person, and she seems to be interested in the teddy bear he found last night, so he tells her it isn't for sale. He's about to give it to her for free, but Chaiwa's mother suddenly arrives, and as they make their way home, she advises Kiwa to stay away from him. After that, Rudo returns home, but his guardian Rigto teases him because of his awkward conversation with Kiwa. He advises Rudo to be confident about how he feels, and also tells him to stop his raids, because he's putting himself at risk. He thinks Rudo is doing it to help him, and he recalls how Rigto raised him after he was abandoned by his parents, but he notes that he doesn't feel like he owes Rigto for raising him, explaining that he just wants to show his respect to his family. Rigto teases him again, telling him he should be that honest with Chaiwa, which irritates Rudo, but Rigto suddenly notices the wound on his arm and offers to check it. He also changes the bandages on Rudo's hands, and advises him to stay away from the dump sites once again, but Rudo notes that his wound isn't as bad as the ones his father left him with. Rigto explains that major crimes are punished with an instant death sentence, where the criminal jumps into the pit, and we learn that Rudo's father faced the punishment. Rudo remembers how his hands were always pitch black, so people always stared at him. But one day, Rigto gave him the gloves, which made things better for him. Rigto tells him to confess his feelings to Chaiwa or someone else will steal her, but we see a mysterious man spying on them while they're talking. The next day, Rigto convinces Rudo to talk to Kiwa, and he even gives him a lesson on how to smile. Rudo heads to her house, but on his way, he sees everyone gathered around the pit, because they're executing another criminal. He wonders what happens to the people sent into the pit, but he's suddenly interrupted by Kiwa, who catches him off guard. She tells him that she doesn't wish for him to get thrown into the pit, and he mentions that Rigto told him the same thing, so she notes that it's because Rigto also loves him. They both become flustered, as they realize what she just said, and he gives her the teddy bear, telling her it will be happy in her company. She happily accepts it, telling him she'll cherish it forever, and he runs off to inform Rigto about what happened. Rudo returns home, but he sees Rigto lying on the floor as a man stabs his chest, so he rushes to attack him. But he realizes that he's no match for him, and the man takes a book with him before he escapes. Rudo tells Rigto he'll get help, but he tells Rudo he can change their world. As he takes his last breath, the officers suddenly taser him from behind and arrest him, because they think he murdered Rigto, and he tries to convince them that he's innocent, but they think he's lying since he has blood on his clothes. After that, everyone gathers as the executioner notes that a murderer can't be forgiven, even if the victim was just an ordinary man from the slums. As Rudo was given the death sentence, everyone starts cheering, and he can't understand why no one believes him. He notices Kiwa and asks her to find Rigto's real murderer, but even she believes that he's guilty, so she drops the bear and turns her back on him. Rudo feels all alone, and since no one believes that he's innocent, he thinks they're all just trash who have eyes and ears, but they can't even use them to see the truth. He promises to send them all to hell, and he suddenly notices the real murderer standing in front of him, but before he can say anything, he gets dropped into the pit. After a while, Rudo regains consciousness, and he's surprised that he's still alive, but he suddenly smells a foul odor and covers his nose. He remembers how he was sent to the pit, and he sees a giant monster. So he realizes that they were right to call it hell. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.